You don't want things stuck in your creases anymore. Mm-mm.
You're listening to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast, episode number 16.
Oh, I got you. There's no reason to chasing payment on my own, 'cause you're here to stay every night and day. I'm delighted 'cause I got you. La, 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 la.
Well, welcome to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast. My name is Melissa Ohlson from pinkpaperpeppermints.com, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Lauri. Hi, Lauri.
Hi, guys.
And Jess. Hi, Jess.
Hey, y'all.
And today we are continuing our series on mixed media, and we are going to be talking about the gel plate. And we are all really excited because we love the gel plate. It's so much fun.
Yes.
But first, we have some Happy Mail. And today is my turn to read Happy Mail. And we got an email from Neppy, one of our listeners and one of my sweet customers. And she said, I love listening to you lovely ladies every week. I laughed out loud when Lauri was talking about not liking the smell of beeswax. I hate the smell of Play-Doh. I was sitting in church this past Sunday and I got a passing smell of Play-Doh. And I thought to myself, Play-Doh in church? And after church, the little boy sitting in front of me turned around to say hi. And I see a mini container of Play-Doh in his hand.
Oh, no.
I know. It's so funny. Thanks again for the great podcast. Keep them coming. Thank you so much, Neppy. I love that story. That's
I do
hilarious.
too. Thank you,
But
Neppy.
you know what I thought too? What a good idea to give your kiddos Play-Doh in church so they'll be quiet.
Mhm.
Oh.
Absolutely.
If I had given my children Play-Doh, it would have been all over the pew, on the floor,
Well,
on my
yeah, that's true.
shoes, on my dress, in my hair, like different kids, right?
Yeah. So if you have a story that you would like to share with us or a comment or a question for us, we would love to hear it. Just leave us a comment on the blog at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/podcast, or you can leave us a review on iTunes. We would absolutely love that. And that really helps our podcast. When you leave a review, it helps it get spread far and wide in the Apple world. So if you do that, we would be so, so grateful. Okay, let's talk about gel plates. If someone didn't know what a gel plate was, what would you say, Jess? How would you explain it?
It's like a big sheet of hard Jell-O.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say.
That's the texture of it and the
Mhm.
consistency of it. But it's jiggly Jell-O, but it's not going to
jiggly
fall
and
apart
squishy.
in your hands.
Yeah.
And you can put stuff on it and then put a piece of paper on top of that and pull it off and just get some crazy stuff. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is so fun. And basically, you're making prints. It's called mono printing, which is taking a single print instead of a printing press where you'd print a lot of the same print over and over. Mono printing is where you're just getting this single print. I think that the gel plate is made out of glycerin. Is that right?
There is glycerin in it, yes.
Yeah. And there's lots of different sizes, and there's several different companies that make them now. When it first started, there was just one company, but now there's quite a few companies that make them, and you can get them on all different shapes and sizes. And then there's also other ways that you can do something similar, and we're going to talk about that later. But we wanted to talk about tools first. So obviously you need a gel plate, and I use the one from Jelly Plate?
Yeah.
Jelly Arts. Mhm.
Jelly Arts. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. Jelly Arts. What do you guys use those or?
Yes.
I know that Jane Davenport has a line now of gel plates and hers look really cool. She's got one that's really thin. That's supposed to be better for in your journal. So you can kind of bend it up and lay it in your journal, which I feel like I don't need another gel plate, but if I did,
That would be the one you'd go for.
that would be the one that I would want. What about you guys? What shapes and sizes do you have of gel plates?
I have two. They're both rectangles. The first one that I bought was 8x10, maybe bigger. But the other one I have is 5x7. That one I know. And I like both of them for different things. The 5x7 is cool for just, if you just want to sit down and just play around, it's real quick and easy to get out. I mean, they're both pretty quick and easy, honestly, but you don't have to use as much paint. You don't have to have as much surface area to cover with the small one, which I like.
And for card making too,
Yes.
maybe.
Mhm.
It's a good size for card making. What about you, Jess?
I actually have several sizes, and I have them in a drawer, so it's hard for me to tell you right off the top of my head because I keep two on my desk, but my larger one and a couple of small ones. I have the metal case for them, and I just have them all stuck in there. But my favorite is, I think this is a 3x7, so it's narrow and longer, and I love it. And then I have a 3-inch circle that I really love. It's probably my favorite because it's little and you can do so much with it.
Wow. I have the 8.5x11 was the first one that I got. And then I think I have a small rectangular one, and I just got a 6-inch round that I really, really, really love. It just makes this beautiful round painted circle that I love. Probably because I can't draw a circle. That's why I really like it.
Yes, I feel you on that. That's why I like the 3-inch one.
Yeah, and it comes out perfect every time. It's so pretty. Okay, so if you don't have it in your budget to buy a gel plate right now, there are a couple of things that you can do. One is the really down and dirty. It doesn't come out exactly like a gel plate, but it's just a way to kind of play with the idea of gel or mono printing. And that is, you take a magazine and slide it into a Ziploc bag. And then you can even put some paper towel or like a dishcloth in there to make it even softer. And then you can try printing on that. Now, it's not going to be the same thing because you're going to get some wrinkles from the Ziploc. It's not going to be perfectly smooth, but it does work. I've tried it a couple different ways and it does work. So that's one way to play with some of these ideas, is by doing that. And then there is another way that, Jess, you were going to talk about.
Yes. Now, I have not tried this, but I have read it several times and thought about doing it. And I think this is what we're talking about. You can make your own. There are recipes online. I've looked at several, and there are recipes for some that I guess you would consider temporary gel plates, but they have to be refrigerated. But then there are recipes that actually contain the glycerin, and the ones that have to be refrigerated would contain like what am I trying to think? It's like Jell-O, but it's the clear Jell-O.
Right, like gelatin.
Gelatin, thank you. That would that would be the technical term of that. But those have to be refrigerated. But then the recipes that include the glycerin are forever jelly plates, or permanent is what they call them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and don't they, I don't know about the ones you make, but the ones you buy, don't they pretty much last forever? I mean, they're really hard to ruin, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I did see that if you use masking tape on them, I was watching a video, okay, that can hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Carolyn Doobie video, right?
Yes.
She talked about that. Yeah, that she ruined a gel plate using masking tape. And I think she talked about how she thinks that it was because it was really old. The glue was old because she used some newer masking tape and it didn't ruin it. But yeah.
Well, and I think she ultimately was able to save it. I think it wasn't actually ruined. I can't remember what she did. I want to say maybe she put matte medium on there to seal something, and it just kind of eventually pulled it all up or something like that. Anyway, it's a good video to watch.
So those are some alternatives if it's not in your budget to buy a gel plate right now. Those are some things that you can do.
Can you print on glass? If you have a glass mat, can you just roll some paint down and see what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. You could definitely do that.
That's like the squishing technique.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It just isn't going to give. You won't get the impression and the technique that you would with the gel plate.
Right.
The next thing that you need is a brayer of some kind.
Yes.
I use a speedball brayer, and I've had it for years. Every once in a while, I see someone with a new brayer, and I'm like, I should probably get a new one because mine is really coated with paint and stuff. But it still works. So is that what you guys use, a speedball? Or
I believe it is. Yeah, actually. I think mine is.
Mine is not. I think mine was just a Hobby Lobby brand brayer. And I've had to get some of the paint off because for some reason mine got some threads or something in it one time. And it did add some extra texture to the gel plate. But I will say Goo Gone, if you soak your brayer in Goo Gone or rubbing alcohol, not together, but either or, it will help pull up that old acrylic paint to clean it off. And they will last forever.
Good tip.
Yep.
I should try that.
About that, I did see a tip to put packing tape on your gel plate to pull up some of the paint on there, but I put some packing tape on there and it didn't come off.
It did on mine.
Well,
I have some awesome, cool packing tape strips now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's one on my technique list. I actually haven't tried the packing tape one yet, though. So, okay, back to tools. You need a gel plate, a brayer, and obviously paper. And paper, I mean, you can gel print on any kind of paper. And the fun thing about it is just trying all different things. And obviously my favorite is vintage papers. I'm sure y'all's too, ledger
Oh,
and
Yeah.
yes.
maps and book
Mhm.
pages.
And I love deli paper and
Mhm.
tracing paper, actually. I really like
Yeah.
tracing paper.
Glassine paper is gorgeous with jelly plates.
Yes, because you can see through it and it's really crispy when you're done. I love that too. And I don't know if we've talked about this on the show yet, but back when we did our paper episode, which I think was episode 3, I want to say, I'll put it in the show notes. But after we did that episode, I was telling Jess I need a good source for glassine, and we found a wholesale source. And so she now carries the glassine paper in her shop. So
And it is gorgeous.
it is. So if you need some or if you want to try it, she has it at a really good price in her store. So we will link her store as well.
Thank
So
you.
you can try that glassine paper. And also printables are fun to jelly plate over, especially new collage papers that I have, but also ledger paper. And I've got a sheet of butterflies that are designed for fussy cutting. I know you know, Jess, because you use them
they're
all the
my
time.
favorites, right?
But if you leave them on the sheet and you don't cut them out, you just lay them on your jelly plate and print over them, they look really, really cool.
Oh,
wait,
I like this.
you don't cut them out?
You can cut the top part off, has the logo on the top, so you can just cut that off. But I just take it and lay it right on my jelly plate and then
print over on top of the butterflies.
and print over them after I print them out. And then it kind of just looks collagey, like the butterflies are floating in your paint. It's really cool.
That's cool.
That's neat. You could also fussy cut them out, lay them on your plate. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, absolutely.
And then put the paint on, or I guess you put the paint on first.
Yeah.
I'm not that great with the jelly plate, but I'm pretty sure you do.
You would.
You could do both. You could put them down first and then paint over them. And then when you lift them up, wherever they were, there's just going to be a butterfly shape.
Yes.
And then you could roll paint over that. And whatever that second layer of paint would be what would be in the butterfly shape. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So that would be a fun way to layer them. So then speaking of paint, that's your next thing that you need. And pretty much any acrylic paint will work. Any paint will work, really. I think heavy body acrylics are going to give you more texture. So because they're so thick, you get kind of peaks when you roll it out. At least I do.
Yeah.
I do better even with the pulling of the print with a heavier body. It doesn't have to be heavy body, but just a little bit thicker
paint.
Yeah.
See, I like the thinner paint better.
Really?
I don't know why. I seem to get a crisper, especially when I'm using stencils where I'm doing a lift off. I seem to get a better print with the thinner paint. Yeah. So
I really like neon paint. That's my favorite thing right now. And it's so fun to gel print with or jelly print with, I guess. Yeah, it is. It's my favorite thing right now.
Yeah, I love the neon colors too. Then there also, depending on what technique you're doing, you may want your paint to not dry as quickly. So they have what they call retarders. Golden acrylic has a retarder, and then there's Liquitex.
Yes, like a medium you mix in.
Yeah, like slow dry blending fluid.
I've also seen people use pouring medium or pouring paint.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing, basically. Yeah.
They're
That's
open.
all new to me.
I think is what they say. They're open paint, so they stay wet longer.
They don't dry as fast, and that helps when you're trying to do layers and things, and you need your paint to stay wet for a while. And Golden has a whole line called open acrylics that they're a little pricey because it's Golden, but that's an option too if you want. And then metallics, I love using metallics and just mixing them into the layers. They're just so, so pretty. So what about texture and pattern making? Obviously, you can use stencils and stamps. Those are a lot of fun.
Yep.
What things have you guys used?
Bubble wrap.
Oh, yes. Bubble wrap, I think, is my favorite thing I've used so far. It's so pretty.
Stamps are my favorite. I always go for stamps if I'm doing jelly printing.
I haven't done that yet, really.
Really?
Well,
you're going to learn to love stamps now.
But does it ruin your stamps?
No.
Like your regular rubber stamps?
No. Just
Even
wipe
with
them off
acrylic?
with a baby wipe. No.
Okay. All right. That's what I was worried about. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. What I do is take a stack of baby wipes and put them on a plate. So it's kind of like making like a little stamp pad, but a cleaner stamp pad. So then I stamp on the plate and then I immediately stamp on my little pad of baby wipes.
Okay. Yeah.
And it kind of just cleans it off.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good idea.
If I don't do that, I will not clean it off.
Yeah.
I just won't. I'll tell myself I will, but I won't.
Right.
So I have to do it
I would
right
be
then.
the same. Yeah, I would do the same thing.
Some more things are like packaging,
Yeah.
saran wrap or deli wrap crumpled up makes really cool lines, tissue paper,
Mhm.
paper towel rolls for circles.
Yep.
Ooh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I had a light bulb because I've used this before. Leaves, like
Oh,
Yes.
nature,
yes.
pulling things
Mhm.
from
Right.
nature with leaves and flowers.
And flowers, fern leaves are really,
Yes.
really pretty. If you have a fern in your yard.
Also, I picked up at Dollar Tree, and this is a fun find. So, do you want me to mention it now or during fun finds? But
I guess fun finds.
okay, I'll wait because
Save it.
I have something coming up that's a good texture creator.
So now they have to stay tuned
That's
in.
right. You gotta listen to fun finds to find out because you're gonna want some.
That's right.
Caps and lids to jars make good
Mhm.
circles. I always save caps if I find different sizes. Lace, you can do lace.
Oh,
is
yes.
really pretty.
Mhm.
Doilies. One thing that I've experimented with that I think is really fun is just cutting out shapes with your die cut machine. There are so many shapes, especially like on the silhouette. Basically, you're making a temporary stencil. So you just cut it out of paper and then you can use that as a stencil. And then when you're done, you can use it in a collage or use it in your art journal. But I
That's a
love that
great idea.
because
Mhm.
you don't have to buy so many stencils. You know, you can cut your own basically just out of paper.
Yeah. Do you know what I saw? I think this is an old idea. I saw it on, I don't know how you're supposed to say her name, but I think it's Birgit Koopson.
Yeah, we should
She-
find out because
yeah.
we're always saying,
We always
go
talk
watch
about her.
video."
But I saw this video where she took a 2x4 and she put different designs on each side of it. So it made this printing cube. So she would make things out of, say, fun foam. She would cut
Mhm.
leaves or something and glue them on there. And then on another side, she'd take hot glue and just make like a big old circle, like a scribbly looking circle and glue that down. And so she'd have all these different texture makers on this
Mhm.
one cube and it just looked so cool. It was a great idea. I
That is a
loved
great
that.
idea.
Yes, I would
Send
love
it
to
to
make
me,
one.
so I've started making one.
Have you really?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'll
that is
find
so
that link
cool.
too because it is a great video.
Another thing that you can do along those same lines is if you save the foam from when you buy chicken or hamburger or whatever, and it has the foam tray,
hmm
and use like a pen or an embossing tool to carve designs into it,
Yeah.
and then use that and lay that down into your paint, and it'll lift off the design. It'll lift that out of the
Oh,
paint, and
yes.
so that makes you can do some really interesting things with that too.
But wash it first. Nobody needs
Oh
salmonella.
yeah.
I'm just
Mm-mm.
saying.
And your journals
Please.
don't want it either.
That's
Gross.
right. Sorry, just had to throw that in there.
Probably good.
So another thing that I just recently saw that I didn't even know about, and I'm curious to know if you guys have seen this before, is they have a new tool called the alignment tool. Actually, I don't know if it's
Yep.
new. It's new to me.
It's new.
I don't know about this.
It's like the concept of the Misty stamp tool, sort of. It's this L-shaped
Acrylic.
tool.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, acrylic that you put next to your gel plate, and then it allows you to do layers so that you can lay your paper down on it and then pull it up and do something different on the plate and then lay your paper down in the exact same place that it was. That's basically what it's to do, to align your paper. And there is a video that I will link in the show notes that I just watched that it was so cool. What she did, she layered so many different pieces of paper and lace and like a magazine picture and all these different layers. And she used that alignment tool to make sure that it stayed in the same place. And the video was just fascinating to watch. So
That's
I will
really
link
cool.
that.
But is the alignment tool real thick?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so because it has to be thicker than the jelly plate, right?
I think it's the same
Okay.
thickness as the jelly plate. And then it's got these little pieces on the top that you slide your paper into the corner of it. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah.
So that it
Okay.
lines it up in the same place every time.
Oh, that's neat.
She uses it in the video, so you'll have to watch the video
Okay.
and you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I thought that looked really cool, and I was like, okay, I got to add that to my list.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
I'm sure there would be a way to make a homemade version of that, but I don't have any idea how. So
Mm.
That would be
Well,
very.
yeah.
Take somebody who could had like a 3D printer or something. That,
yeah,
I wonder.
Oh,
have some.
Lauri has one.
No. Lauri does not have one. Lauri's husband has
That's
one.
right. Fred has one.
I might have to look into this. I can't picture what we're talking about, so I'll have to check it out and let you know.
Yeah. I'm not that much of a DIY person when it comes to like the gel plate recipe and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no, I figure it would take me just as much money to buy all the supplies.
Yeah.
And then if you factor in me getting mad because I can't figure it out.
Yes. I am DIY, but I will say that was one DIY I skipped over.
Yeah.
I love doing things by myself, but that one was one I was like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, some things I like DIY. Obviously, I like crafty stuff, but you always see these recipes for making your own spray inks or making your own matte gel medium and stuff. I'm just like, no,
Right. Something is worth the value of buying.
Yeah, for me anyway. I know some people don't mind and they think it's fun and they like it, but for me, I'm just like, no, that's my art time. I'm not using that to make the tools first.
Exactly.
So, okay, the process of gel printing, there are so many ideas. And so I would recommend that you just get on maybe Pinterest and YouTube and just watch some videos and things because you will get so inspired. I don't know about y'all, but once I get my gel plate out,
yes,
I have to have a few hours set aside because I cannot stop.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. And I think one of the things that makes it so fun is the spontaneity of it. Like you don't really know exactly what you're going to get.
Yes. I love that part of it.
Yeah. Every time you pull up your paper, you're just like, ooh, what's it going to look like? And then when you run across something that you really love, you make a little note of it, and it's like discovering this treasure. This paint with this paint and this stencil makes this design that I absolutely love, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's part of the fun of it. But on the days when I'm jelly printing, I have papers everywhere drying on every surface.
I turn around and they're all over the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. So let's talk about some ideas of things that you can do, techniques that you can do. One of the things that I like to do is laying shapes and papers down, kind of like what we were talking about with the butterflies.
And leaves.
Out of,
feathers. I'm sorry, I'm going to hush. I keep interrupting. These ideas come in my head. They need to come out.
Oh, boy.
Well, with paper, you can hand cut your own shapes. And what I like about it is the masking effect. So you can lay some paint down and then you can put some circles down of paper. And then you can lay another layer of paint and then put a stencil on it and pull up some of the paint. And then you can do 3 or 4 layers like that and then pull up those circles that you lay down. And now you've got these empty circles in the middle of all these layers. And so then you can start layering more stuff on and fill up the circles, or you can just take the print like that and then you can journal in the circles, or you can add stickers or printables in the circles. You know what I mean? It just gives you this fun place to put things. I don't know how to explain it, but I really like the idea of saving some of the spots out in the print to do something different with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some more of your ideas, Jess? I don't want you.
Oh, no, that's you don't want me yelling it out.
No, I don't want you. I don't want your head to explode while you're
right. Okay. So something that I started doing more recently, I mean, it's been a while, but I saw this done somewhere. I'm terrible with remembering where I've seen things done, but
I know, me too.
I love drawing on my jelly plate with a Posca pen and letting it dry, and then putting an acrylic paint over that and pulling the print. And you can get several prints from one drawing. So I do that a lot with mark making, and we'll just do doodles and squiggles and X's and hearts, whatever, and letting it dry. It's sometimes a couple of days before I actually come back and pull it, but I let it dry really, really well with the Posca pen. And the Posca pens are super smooth on the jelly plate. They don't damage it. They're easy to write with on there. But then I pull it, just put a contrasting paint over it and pull it, and they make some really cool prints.
Oh, interesting. So if you put paint over the top and then you pull it, and then do you put more paint, or do you just pull another print before adding? You just add more paint?
I do another layer of thin
Okay.
paint and pull it because it's not going to come up unless you put another layer down.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite things doing with the little 3-inch circle that I have. I love to do a flower outline on it with the Posca pen, do a flower outline,
Oh,
let it
yeah.
dry, and then add a couple of colors in that after, and it just pulls a really cool flower print.
Wow.
I think we're gonna need to see that, Jess.
I can do that.
Okay,
I
that
was
sounds
going to
really
say,
cool.
I think you need to do a video.
Yeah, and I wanted to try the flower. Now that I've been playing some with pan pastels in my jelly plates, I wanted to do the flower outline with Posca pens and then try the pan pastels in the
Yeah.
empty spaces and then pull it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, I actually have a note here to ask you about the pan pastels because I saw, this is one of those things where I
Yes.
saw it on Pinterest. I just saw a picture and I was busy looking for something else and I didn't have time to go and look at the article, but I was like, oh, I need to ask Jess if she's done pan pastels on her gel
So
plate.
awesome. Well, I just tried them.
So do you just draw on the gel plate with them?
Okay, with the pan pastels, what I've done so far is I do acrylic paint and a stencil. And
Mhm.
then, like, I pull up the empty spaces of the stencil and then pull the stencil up and I let it dry because you don't need to put pastels down on wet paint.
Right.
But let that dry. Then in the empty spaces, I go in with a makeup sponge and my pan pastel and just blot it in those empty spaces.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I will say I'm messy. So when I'm done doing that, I blow it off so that I don't have chunks of pan pastels or just little extra stray things everywhere because it makes it harder to pull a print if it's thicker in places. But then you just put a very thin coat of acrylic paint on the back, put your paper down and brayer it down and pull that up. And that pan pastel is so pretty in those negative spaces.
Wow.
What brand of pan pastels do you have, Jess?
Are there more than one?
I don't know. Probably. I'm sure there is.
I know Jane Davenport has some.
Okay, these are pan pastels. And
I don't think that's
know.
the whole story.
Hang on. They're in a drawer that I can't reach right now.
We'll find out and we'll put it in the show notes. I have those. We talked about this on another show, those Diane Townsend pastels that are sticks.
Yeah.
So I was thinking I could draw on it.
I'll bet you can.
Drawing on it. I don't know. It seems like it wouldn't really draw, but I'm going to try it now.
I think
that sounds really cool.
The brand is Pan Pastel.
You know, I just looked it up on Amazon and I think you're probably right. Does it say Pan Pastel, all one word, and then Artist Pastels underneath?
Yep.
That's what it is. You are correct.
See?
I apologize for doubting you, Jess.
Okay, so we were talking about the packing tape idea, and basically what that is you're laying paint down, and then you put a piece of packing tape sticky side down into the tape and pull it up like that, right?
Once your paint has dried.
And then basically it's just like doing an image transfer or anything else. You've just got this strip then of really cool painted tape that you can use in other projects. And then I also saw someone using contact paper the same way. Which I thought that was a really good idea because then you've got a much bigger piece that you can use and you can cut that into shapes and stuff.
And it's probably not glossy.
Well, let me tell you how to fix the glossiness of your packing tape. So once you've pulled it, you're going to want to seal the other side. Well, I like to seal the other side too because I have hopes of cutting these out. I've got several done like this, and I have hopes of cutting them into die cuts because then you've got a transparent jelly plated cool die cut.
That is really cool.
But I flip it over, and I put another layer of tape sticky side down onto the other sticky. So both the non-sticky sides are on the outside, and you've sealed your tape. And then put matte gel medium on top of the top and let it dry, and you've got a matte finish.
Yes, I have seen that before, and it looks awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What a good idea. So, okay, another thing that I've seen that is really cool is folded paper, and I will link the article that I saw. I think this was on the Gel Press website, and they took paper and they accordion folded it and then used the folded paper to make texture. So it makes these lines. And then they took the folded paper and they made it into a pinwheel shape. You know, what do you call it? Like a rosette?
Like a rosette, yeah.
Yeah. And then they used that and pressed that into the paint, and it made this fireworks shape that was really cool.
That's cool. That's a great idea.
I know. I have done that with cupcake wrappers too, which I think I have a video that shows the cupcake wrapper, because after I was done, I just flattened out like a foil cupcake wrapper.
Yeah.
Not completely, but just where you could press it flat. And then it has that sort of fireworks shape
Oh,
Mhm.
cool.
because of the lines.
Yeah.
And it's in a circle. So it's just a really neat shape to use.
That's a great
really
idea.
cool.
And then when you're done, you've got this foil cupcake wrapper that has paint all over it.
Oh.
So when it dries, it looks really neat. I'll link that video where I show that in one of my journals.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
that's really neat.
Now, I have not tried this, but I have seen people do alcohol ink on
Yeah.
gel plates.
Yes, I saw that too. But it's another one of those things where I'm like, ooh, I need to look into that. But I
Mhm.
didn't. So
And I haven't either, but I've heard it does not ruin the gel plate. It might stain it, but that it does
Yes.
not ruin it.
And then
Hmm.
once you put it down, you have to roll some acrylic paint over the top, just like you
Yeah.
would if something's dried, and pull it. Do you know what else I watched the other day? I watched someone do hot glue right on their jelly plate.
What?
You may have sent
She-
that to me,
I might have.
or I may have sent it to you.
I thought hot stuff would melt your jelly plate.
No, it did not. It did not. I can't remember how it printed. It seemed like it was really cool when I was watching it, but it also seemed like it's very raised because hot glue has a lot of texture, bulk. I don't know. It didn't print flat, but it looked really cool once you took it up and printed again.
So yeah, I am not. Y'all know this. I am not savvy with the hot glue gun. I would have like hills and mountains on that thing. It would not be an even squiggly line.
Well, mine may not be either, but it's a great idea if you're good with the
I
hot
think
glue
you need
gun.
to try it, Lauri.
I will. Okay.
I'm too scared to put hot glue on my gel plate.
I am a little scared to do it. I will admit.
I'll do it. I'm not scared.
But you can't handle hot glue.
Exactly. But I'm going to do this for the podcast.
Okay. Take one for the team, sister.
That's right. I'm taking one for the team.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that. That should be
We
interesting.
may have to do a GoFundMe for my medical bills, but I'm going to take one for the team.
Oh, no.
One thing that you could do to get a similar look is to use twine or yarn
Mhm.
Yes.
and kind of create designs with that
Yes.
and then print over that. I know people have done that, and that's not as scary to me.
Definitely not as scary. But yeah, you could do you could do die cuts. I mean, if you have like
Yeah.
some super like
Mhm.
little lacy die cuts or whatever, you could do all kinds of things.
You know what I've always wanted someone to invent, and I don't know why someone doesn't do this, is
Wait, before you say it, is it something that the three of us could invent and market?
That's right. Hush.
Don't say it out loud.
Creative Faith and Friends products.
No, there's
Oh.
I don't think we could.
Okay, go ahead.
We probably could, but it would take a lot of capital investment
Okay.
and time.
Yeah, we don't have that.
But a backwards alphabet,
Yes,
Like,
I know
yes,
exactly what
uh-huh.
you're talking about.
like a
Mhm.
foam stamp,
Yep.
backwards alphabet, so that you could put words into your
Yes.
plate, because everything you put on your plate comes up backwards, right?
Right.
Because you're printing it and then you're pulling it off.
Yep.
So you can't use any of your alphabet stamps, or I mean, you can, but they're not to spell anything.
Right.
So I wish somebody would make backwards alphabet stamps for gel printing. And I mean, gel printing has been around a long time. I can't believe nobody's thought of this yet.
Okay, something's niggling in the back of my mind. I feel like I did see something like that. But
Really?
I'm going to have to go research that because I do not remember what it was. But I almost feel like I watched a video and she said something about that.
I guess what it would actually be is it would be frontwards.
Yeah.
Because when you have a regular rubber stamp that has a saying on it, when you look at it, it's backwards
Right.
because you're pressing the ink and then you're pressing it down on your paper. So for it to be the right
Right.
way,
Yep.
because we're lifting that mark up, we need it to be frontwards so that it prints backwards. I don't know if this makes sense at all, but
Y'all are
makes
making
sense
my
to me.
brain hurt.
I know what you mean.
anyway, somebody invent that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yes,
I will
please.
buy it. You know I will, because I buy something every week from this podcast.
I know,
That is
right?
true. Hmm. That's true.
All those fibers I have now coming to my house from last week.
I haven't even opened mine, y'all.
Oh, your Angelina fibers?
Yes, that I need to make a video on. So I guess I probably should open them.
Yeah, after you made all of us buy 'em.
I know.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So one other thing that I saw that I thought was really cool is, and this is someone I mentioned before, Jane Davenport. She has her own gel plates and she is so talented and creative. But one thing that she did that I thought was really cool was she put a picture underneath the gel plate. And of course, it's clear, so you can see through to it. And then she used her oil crayons or one of her crayon markers. She's got so many art supplies.
Yeah.
And she traced the picture. And I think it was a picture that she had drawn because she's an amazing artist. But for those of us that aren't, you could put like a magazine picture underneath
Yeah.
a lady or a mountain or whatever it is that you want to draw. And she put it underneath and then she sketched it out with her pastels. And then she did a layer of paint over it and then she pulled it. And it was really, really cool.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great idea that I would like to try too.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I like that. I know somebody that I know taught a class on making shrinky dinks that way, where you were tracing over something that you wanted to draw and then making that into a shrinky dink. So it's a similar idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay. Does that wrap it up?
We're going to have to follow up with some videos because our descriptions of things have been a little interesting.
They've been somewhat lacking today.
Yeah, hopefully people were multitasking while they were listening.
That hard jello thing still jiggles, but it's like hard jello.
It's squishy and jiggly, just like jello.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Like jello that's been sitting out for a while.
Yeah.
That's going to be the intro on this podcast.
No doubt. No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, well, let's talk about fun finds.
I'll go first. I changed mine on y'all. This actually is from a store that I talked about. It might have been last week, called Wow Studio, where Dee Dee Catron does a lot of her stuff. She's got some really cool stuff. But I bought a set of rubber stamps from her. And it's like a mark making stamp set with 13 little stamps on it. And they're just so cool and pretty. I absolutely love them. And I want to use them in my jelly plate this week.
Yes.
So that's what made me think of those. But they're really cool little doodles and I love them. I'll put a link. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Jess?
Okay, so mine is going to require some interesting words and descriptive words. We're going to have a link for it, but you can also find it at Dollar Tree. This is where I found mine, but it's hard to link something at Dollar Tree because not all their products are online.
Yeah.
But it is the Duck brand Select Grip Easy Liner Shelf and Drawer Liner. So it's a rubbery web shelf liner.
Yes.
You would know it if you saw it, but y'all, I used it on a jelly plate yesterday, and oh my sweet heavens, it is the neatest texture. And then it's thin enough that once you pull it and it's got all that paint on it, you can use it as an element in a journal collage.
Cool.
Super cool.
Did you put paint over it or under it or both?
No, so I had paint on my jelly plate.
Okay. And then you put that
I
down?
laid this on top. Okay, so to be honest, I was using my jelly plate as a palette, kind of.
Yeah.
And I was doing different things on some little wooden pieces. And I put this on the jelly plate to pick up the paint. And then I was using it to stamp on the little piece of wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go back and forth. But I ended up pulling a print after I was all done because I looked at my jelly plate and I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And it just turned out amazing. Like one of my favorites.
That's cool.
That reminds me of, I was opening a jar yesterday. And y'all know those little rubber jar opener things that you get?
Yes.
It reminds me of that.
Yes.
And I was looking at it. I was like, ooh, the texture of this would be really cool on a gel plate. And I totally forgot until you just said that. So now I have two things that I need to try.
That's right.
Oh, gosh.
That's right.
So, okay, well, mine is nothing to do with art. Sort of. It's art for your face. But this is something that I've never used before. And it is called eyeshadow primer. Do you guys use?
Oh,
heard of
yes.
this?
Yeah.
You use it? Do you both know what it is?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel so out of it. I saw a video and it was not about makeup. It was a craft video.
Really?
But she was just like, if you don't know what this is so cool. It works so great. And I was like, well, I want to try it. And I could not believe the difference.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But so now does everyone know about this? And I'm just like completely out.
I don't think so. I use a primer spray for my whole face and I use it on my eyes too. But yeah, I do not think everybody knows about it.
Oh, I do.
Well,
I have never, ever heard of it. And when you
Anyway.
put it on, it's like, it just makes your eyelids smooth.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so then when you put your eyeshadow on, it doesn't bunch up and get all
Right.
creasy.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't get all stuck in your creases. Yeah.
Yeah, which when you get to a certain age, that becomes more and more important.
Yes, it sure does.
You don't want things stuck in your creases anymore. Mm-mm.
Jess isn't quite there yet, I don't think, but
I
Yeah.
am.
the rest of us may or may not be there.
Anyway, it's called eyeshadow primer, and the kind that I got, did I say this already, is by Elf.
No. Oh, yeah. Did it work? Did it work well?
Yes.
Because Elf
It
makes
worked.
pretty good stuff and it's not expensive.
Yeah, it wasn't expensive at all. I got
that's
it. I just got
awesome.
it at the grocery store because I was like, I'm just going to try this and see. And
Yeah.
so I was really surprised. And the other thing was, it kind of makes your eyeshadow last
Hmm.
too. Like, it doesn't get all
Yes.
rubbed off.
Yeah.
So that is my fun find this week. I know it's weird, but
No, that's cool.
No, that's a good
I was
one.
really excited about it. I was like, well, how do I not know about this?
I
Well,
love
and-
tips like that. I think fun finds are
Yes.
great because, these are lessons that you wish somebody had told you 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Why did you two not tell me about eyeshadow primer?
Well, I'm only saying I think everyone knows about it because I was really into makeup for a period of time. I wanted to be a makeup artist. And so I was
Oh.
super into that kind of stuff. So to me, it's very obvious, but I bet Jess is right. I bet a lot of people don't know about it.
I only started using it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of it.
Well, that's my fun find.
I
So
love it.
if you don't use
Agree.
eyeshadow primer, you should try
Yes.
it.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
So, okay, well, let's talk about our challenge for this week. We would like you to try a gel plate print or printing. We have a feeling that if you do, it's not going to be one print. If you're like us, you're going to have
Yeah.
prints everywhere.
Yep.
And if you don't have a gel plate and you're not willing to buy one right now, which I don't blame you. If you listen to this show, you're probably like, you people stop making me buy stuff.
That's probably true. So sorry.
You can try the Ziploc bag with a magazine in it because it works almost as good. Not quite as good, but almost as good. And it works enough that you can try it. You can try
Yeah.
mono printing with that. So that's what we want you to do, is try a gel or a mono print of some kind and incorporate that into your collage. And our word this week is
Believe.
You know what? You know what I was thinking? We should have made believe our word for last week because we were doing beeswax and it could be
Believe.
Oh, that would be
Oh,
good.
yeah. We're not quick
Oh,
enough for
well.
that.
So our word is believe. So just incorporate that word however you would like to. You can use it just to inspire you, or you can use the actual word. And if you are on our newsletter list, I will be sending out printables. I do that every week, some kind of printable for you to incorporate into your challenge. And if you use our hashtag Creative Faith and Friends on Instagram, we are always looking for people using our hashtag to give prizes to. And
Yay.
Lori has a new prize winner for this week.
I sure do. Our prize winner. I feel like we need a drum roll here, Melissa.
I know. I really need to get on the ball with that sound effects.
Our prize winner for this week is Qberry 1988. So
Yay.
congratulations. I think it's Q. Yeah, it's Qberry.
Yeah.
I got my contacts in. It's very hard to read. But yay, congratulations. I'll get in touch with you on Instagram this next week.
So
I'm trying to do an
congratulations.
applause button because
You did great.
My
I
son
like it.
has one somewhere and we hadn't found it yet.
So thank you so much, Qberry1988,
Yes. Yes,
for
yes.
using our hashtag. And if you haven't won yet, keep going because we're picking people every week and you might be the one.
Yep.
So before we go, we want to let you know where you can find us online. Lori, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Measure Once, Cut Twice with periods in between the words.
And Jess, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Just Give Me Jesus and on Etsy at Choose Joy in Jesus.
And you can find me at pinkpaperpeppermints.com. And I'm Pink Paper Peppermints on all my social medias. And I would love to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Well, have you used a gel plate before? If not, do you think you might try it after our conversation today? If you have used it, we would love to hear any tips or ideas that you have for it. How have you incorporated it into your journaling? You can leave us a comment on my blog at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/podcast, and you can find links to everything we talked about in the show notes at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/016. And as always, if you have a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we would be so appreciative of that. It really helps the show to get found, and it helps us to connect with other creatives like you. I'm Melissa Ohlson, and I hope you have a week filled with peace and grace, and we will see you next time on Creative Faith and Friends.